Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Interact. Thanks very much for joining us today. As said, I'm Phil Sumner from Teads, and I'm very pleased today to be joined by Peter Maxwell from the Heineken Company.
Hello, everybody. Lovely to meet you. And, well, some of you anyway. Just meet the rest of you after for a beer. I'm going to be spending the second half of this presentation talking about the so whats, how we bring attention to life for some of our brands across the world. But in the interim, I will leave the complicated elements to Phil.
Thank you very much, Peter. Yeah, I'm just going to take you briefly through sort of the case for attention, what we see as the key drivers of attention, and also the structure of our own attention program at Teads that we launched last year. But first of all, let's play a very quick game of Where's Waldo, or Wally, as we know him, in the UK. So is everyone ready? Everyone ready for a quick game?
Are we all good to go?
Ready? Okay.
Okay, let's go. Okay.
So where is he?
Oh,
he's not there. We've had a few technical gremlins with the PowerPoint. So really, we're meant to say that Wally was viewable, but he wasn't actually even viewable. But did we pay any attention to him?
Wow.
Wonderful technology, live events technology. Well, brilliant. Well, imagine Wally was there. And you saw him, right? He was on screen, I promise you, for 100% of pixels. But the question is, how many of you actually paid any attention to him? Clearly the answer is
yeah, quite a lot.
Absolutely zero. But just to show you, he was there. There's a little arrow pointing to where Wally would have been, promising you that he would be there.
Oh, we could be for version 2 of the presentation.
This is brilliant.
We just Control, Alt, Delete.
Yeah. That's it. Sit down. Wonderful.
We could just make it more of a fireside chat.
Yeah, we could. We could just sit down and do the panel before the panel. I don't know. Okay.
Looking more promising.
Hey.
Let's start again. Okay.
All right, we're on. Okay. Where's Wally? Waldo. Is it going to work? Yeah, great. Oh, hey. He was viewable.
Did everyone see him?
Hey, he was.
There's the joke.
He's viewable. Peter, did you pay any attention to him?
I was absolutely. I was trying my hardest to pay attention.
But he was on screen, but clearly we didn't pay any attention to him. And now it's going to work, and hopefully he's going to appear. Yes, there he is. There's Waldo. He's not holding a Heineken can, sadly.
Yet.
And thanks very much to our friends at Adelaide, whose example that is now have got permission to use. And it is a fun sort of example when it works. But really, it's sort of... It makes an important point, because really it really shows us sort of, it encapsulates kind of what's potentially happened with viewability. And to an extent it's sort of taken us down some blind alleys. Now, it's not for us to completely discount viewability, far from it. It moved us in the right direction when we started measuring it. But really, to think about what we're doing with attention measurement, it's sort of an evolution of that approach, and it's moved us forward in regards to sort of planning and buying and measurement, and moving us towards a sort of lingua franca or set of metrics that moves us closer to the impact that ads actually have. So in a sense, attention measurement is pulling us back again in the right direction. And what we're showing here, and it's a very extreme example of a made-for-advertising site, it sort of illustrates the point about when viewability can get out of control. We make cluttered environments, we have smaller ads, we have more hidden ads, and they're not conducive to best attention environments. And look, don't just take our words for it. The evidence being collected today is really too compelling to ignore. And there are many pieces of research that have taken place which are really demonstrating why we should be thinking about attention and why it's moving us in the right direction. And these are just three which we've curated, three really good examples. The first one being the work from Dentsu and Lumen on the attention economy, proving that attention was a better predictor of the outcome to an extent of 3 times. That's still probably the best piece of work internationally on the subject matter. Also a great study from Adelaide and Nielsen in the US using MMM data showing the predictive quality of attention metrics. And one I like from the UK last year with GSK, now Helion, really taking attention metrics in a live environment and showing how it could improve the rate of sales conversion. But there are many more out there. There's a great playbook from the Attention Council, which again I always plug, Andy, which I would urge you to look at. And there are many great pieces of work coming to market that demonstrate why this is something we should be looking at. But what I want to get across as well is that attention isn't one single concept or a single lever, but it's a combination of different drivers that need to be considered really with media choice and how you can improve on campaign performance. The framework up here is probably similar to others that you've seen, but again, it's a sort of lingua franca that we've adopted internally and with our clients, really that we've developed to try and sort of demystify the attention space, that helps sort of curate the actionable testing and improvement of campaigns. So really what we have here is the 4 drivers, which I'll get up. Really we talk about the quality of media, which is really sort of the baseline of attention, the way that the user scrolls on a website, sort of that sets the tone for what attention is. Then the ad experience, the shape of attention in a sense, the way the ad is consumed is an important driver. And as we move to relevance, context and creative, they're really the actionable parts of attention, which we can really start to pull the levers with campaign measurement and where we've done a lot of our testing ourselves. You know, creative especially is an area that we talk about the importance of creative all the time. This sort of new wave of attention measurement is really actually lifting the lid, and again, Peter will go on and talk about that, is that it's actually leading to a lot of interesting discoveries and optimizations for creative, which we think is very exciting.
Very exciting.
Very exciting. So what did we do at Teads? We launched our own attention program last year. And really, we did that to sort of bring the strands of attention together, and we launched this just over a year ago. So, you know, we started, let's say, paying attention to attention quite a long time ago. We started in 2018. We invested in a lot of research with partners, and we really started to try and understand how we could maximize attention. Last year, really, we moved significantly out of the lab and jumped really kind of headfirst into the live environment. So we launched the program with the goal of making really strong in-market learnings and validating a lot of the previous research. The marketplace responded. In 9 months, we've done over 500 tests globally, so it's been a huge sort of roaring success and sort of a proxy for the interest in attention measurement today. And our program's designed to be simple and transparent and really follow these key principles. When we think of attention, we think of something that's born out of original human research based on actual human attention. We want to build something that's scalable, that can work across all campaigns, and that can really give strong benchmarks to our partners. We want to put media and creative back together. There's been a bit of a divide, and actually you know, these two things work hand in hand, and we think that's really important. And finally, we want to be underpinned by the best researchers in the attention space today. So really, we're agnostic. We work with all the main players in the space, and so these are really our driving principles. And within, again, you know, it gets very complex. There are lots of hypotheses. You know, myriad things that we're looking at. So again, we sort of curated it into these 3 pillars of A, our creative tests, B, the live campaign measurement, which we go on and talk about in a bit more depth, and C, linking attention to outcomes, arguably the most important, but really continuing to prove why if we go in this direction, we will improve the outcome for brands. And finally, just before I hand over to Peter, this isn't a methodological deep dive session at all, but I want to give context on Lumen's approach to live campaign measurement and highlight some of the key metrics that sort of segue into the Metacase. Really what Lumen's live solution does, it takes great data from eye tracking panels, produces that into a model, and that can be activated with a simple tracking tag. The tag picks up environmental signals and also signals from the ad itself. And really the 3 key metrics that we focus on is really the view rate, the percentage of people that actually viewed an ad, or WALL-E, the eyes on dwell time, the length of time people spend viewing the ad, and the attention per thousand, or APM as it's commonly known, which is really a composite metric that's really good. It simplifies the metrics, and a very good benchmarking metric to look across creative, targeting, and it sort of simplifies the whole space. So, with that slightly clunky setup...
Oh, sure, it was smooth. No one noticed, it was fine.
I'll hand over to Peter.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. This way. Now, this can't be a good combo if I can't get this to work. Up.
That's the big one.
The one with the big number on it that says up. Okay. Hello, everyone. With that intro, I think it's quite clear why I'm here is pretty much describe how we've simplified a huge amount of this space. When we talk about the attention economy, and in my role, I talk to roughly 70, 80 operating companies around the world with roughly about 300 plus brands in the beer, cider, soft drinks sector. When we take a subject like the attention economy and how that works in media, it can be an absolute minefield. So yes, it's really interesting. Yes, there's lots that we can learn on it. But I think if we are effectively trying to push towards growing brand power and effectively pushing our sales uplift and our brand uplifts, we need to simplify. And working with partners similar like Teads and similar, we've worked together to really pull together what does it mean for attention and what kind of so what does that mean? How can we actually implement some of this thinking based on the fantastic science that Phil went through with us? So just for a little bit of a setup, when we talk about a Metacase, for us this is quite comprehensive. So we have obviously quite diverse operating companies, quite diverse brands, so we needed to seek insight when it comes to the attention economy across quite a wide range. I'm not going to bore you with all of the finer details. Effectively, it's big. Lots of campaigns, lots of different markets, and lots of different creatives. And from that entire space of attention, we first of all decided that we would focus in on how are we versus benchmark. So understanding the science, the tags, etc., we wanted to make sure how are we performing. So stage one, just as a little bit of the caveat for the so whats, we did really well, which is a really nice piece when we started talking about attention. So from a benchmark point of view, when we talk about those simplified KPIs, which are translatable across multiple markets, we can see that our creatives overall score really strongly versus benchmark. So if we take something like percentage view rates, we're talking about 67 versus 65. We're talking about our attentive, our APM, and we're talking 2493. I promise that's the last number I'll call out. Again, really strong performance versus benchmarks. And a lot of that, as Phil mentioned in his intro, is to do with the creative. So all creatives that we have within this test have been pushed through Teads Atelier to ensure that actually that creative is fit for the platforms it is being delivered in. So it helps to reinforce our attention economy thinking and also really supports numbers when I'm trying to land these points with markets. Okay, so overall, Teads averaged 63%, our attention test 100, so really nice start. This presentation is, it's working, phew, is riddled with little pieces of copy to try and grab your attention and divert you from my strong Irish accent. But you can see from elements like this, so when we're talking about Spanish orchard thieves, as I call it, because my Spanish isn't great, we can see that we really are creating standout creative and utilizing Teads to get that out to our consumers. We then ran through, as a result of all of the detail we pulled from our Metacases, a couple of so whats, some hypotheses, and actually tried to debunk some really simple stuff. Now, that seems like a kind of a no-brainer, but this is the first time that we're able to turn gut feel into statistically backed elements, especially when we're talking about attention. So, no, not exactly rocket science, but video generates more attention than display. That's fine. That's kind of all of us in this room have a general understanding. But if you think about trying to translate that message through to a brand manager, somebody who's trying to bring a campaign alive, it really is a good ignition point for us to ensure that media is part of a wider campaign development, and that we can really have stats and info to back up why we should be thinking, in this instance, video first. It's also really important, and you'll see from the numbers here, 16 to 11, 16, we're talking about video versus display. We're not saying here display is dead. It has a role, but what we're saying is we have lots of stats and info and detail we can build behind these slides that can help inform decisions when we talk about format selection. Beautiful brand Messina in Italy. we go. And also then, another key insight for us is really tapping into this idea of creative supporting us to grab attention, is really working with the guys in Teads to create custom formats and to really jump through when we're talking about in feed and several others of the formats that we have in place. Interestingly, another myth debunking, landscape and square formats are perfectly fine. There is actually not much difference between them. So if you think about trying to grab and overtake a huge amount of phone real estate or laptop screens, actually have a consideration for both. So again, measuring creative performance and attention is absolutely critical for us in terms of our thinking. And then when we talk about the impact of those, again, you'll see really similar numbers in terms of the APM that we're grabbing, but going back to consumer-centric planning, a really strong experience for the consumer or users who will be experiencing this creative. Alrighty. The other one then, I spent a significant period of my time in Heineken shouting at brand managers, telling them that they had to tell a story in 1 to 3 seconds. Phil has now sort of messed up that story a little bit. So when we're talking about some of the video formats that we have, actually up to 10 seconds, we can still really hold attention and tell that little bit of a longer story. When we're in a world about growing brand power, driving brand performance, and increasing sales, it's really important that we have the opportunity to land particularly impactful and meaningful driving creative. So for us, actually, a lot of the work that we have here really backs up. We can play within a 10 or a 0 to 10 second space and still hold attention, which is really strong for us. Finally, viewability versus attention campaigns. So we talked a lot earlier about simplification, and what I've actually spent a lot of time when we're talking to various markets is to make sure that we're not throwing away old KPIs that we relied on. So lots of media professionals who are really focusing on viewability, super. What we're saying is the attention economy gives us another layer of stats, another layer of facts, another way of thinking, effectively giving us another lens in which we should think about when we're planning media plans and delivering creative. So actually there's a really strong correlation between viewability and the attention economy, which is a good thing for us. We're not reinventing the wheel. So, to summarize some of those key findings, as he nervously thinks, is it going to still click? So, firstly, optimize creatives on all campaigns. Again, not super rocket science, but I think we all have a role in a forum like this to reinforce that to all creative agencies, to all brand managers, that actually creative should always be fit for platform and optimized for success. We should continue to experiment with custom formats with our partner in Teads. We'll continue to do that with some of our campaign development across 2023 and beyond. Leverage the power of square sizes. It sounds very dramatic now that I read that back. So we will leverage both square and landscape formats. And short form video works really well, so anything up to 10. So effectively giving some of our creative people that little more space to play in terms of landing a message. And then finally for us, really make sure that we don't throw away old media metrics. They were there for a reason, but we now have more insights to help us go further. So like all good presentations, this is just the start of a journey. So for us, when it comes to the attention economy, it's really important that we continue to learn. We will continue to work with Phil and the team to really get under the skin of a lot of these metrics and see how they can drive us forward. We're going to add attention tags to all of our campaigns. A simple step. We're going to really then deep dive into the correlation between the attention economy and contextual buying. And then finally, most importantly, build those correlations with stronger examples that we can drive directly to the growth in brand power or to sales uplift as we develop campaigns further. And it worked for the last slide. Yay! Thank you very much, guys.